Good morning. As the county executive would say, it's a great day in Prince George's County. Let's give everybody a round of applause this morning. Again, welcome to the 2014 Crime Presser for Prince George's County. My name is Barry Stanton. I'm the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety for Prince George's County. Today, you will hear from a number of speakers talking about the ongoing progress we have made in the reduction of crime in Prince George's County. By building relationships, partnering with the community, partnering with the state of Maryland, and requiring county agencies to be involved through our Transforming Neighborhood initiative. Last year, we were at Wegmans, and we selected that location because we wanted to show the region that there are great places in Prince George's County, and Wegmans represented one of the many places that is very community-oriented. Today we are here. We have selected the Community of Hope, AME Church. Let's give them a round of applause for being here this morning. This is a church that is one of our older neighborhoods inside the Beltway and in Iverson Mall. We selected this place because this church and this community has established a good partnership with our police department, and it is an example of why putting the community first is so important to the police department and the Baker administration. So before I continue, let me introduce some of our elected officials here today. I hope I don't miss anybody. And then we'll acknowledge the front guests. The first person, Council Mel Franklin, Council Chair. Council Member Karen Tolles. Our partner, our friend, Governor-elect Martin O'Malley. Our partner, Angela Also Brooks, State's Attorney. Sheriff Melvin Hyde, our sheriff. Delegate Tony Knotts. Is he here? Delegate Jay Walker. And representing Congresswoman Donna Edwards, Betty Horton Hodge. Councilman Obie Patterson. I also would like to acknowledge county departments, Mr. Nicholas Majette, our CAO, Ms. Glenda Wilson, our Chief of Staff. And would all the departments and the DCO directors please stand, please? Please stand. Thank you for being here. Today, we are not just here to talk about 2014. We are here to talk about what has enabled us to continue to reduce crime numbers over the last 4 years. You will hear from a number of individuals who have played important roles over the last 4 years in Prince George's County. The county executive, Mr. Rashawn Baker III, talked about destiny during his inaugural speech. He said we were past potential. Well, today, I believe we are closer to our destiny in public safety. And we are doing it by working with the community, being strategic in our crime approach, building partnerships in public safety, and working more collaboratively and working hard as our police department, and following the leadership of our county executive, Rashawn L. Baker. Let's give him a round of applause. At this time, I would like to introduce Reverend Dr. Gerald Folsom from Community of Hope Church to provide you with a warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Folsom over the Social Justice and the Public Service Ministry here at Community of Hope, and we are proud to be a partner with everyone here. We are proud to do the community walks, the faith-based meetings, the domestic violence. We've been a part of all of that, and with community policing, and we'd like to thank the Baker administration for this partnership, Chief McGoffey's partnership. And we believe that truly transformation is taking place, and Community of Hope is glad to be a hub of that partnership. Now, without further delay, our pastor is not here, but Reverend Dr. Nancy Lee will come and bring a proper welcome, our executive minister.
Don't stop clapping. To God be the glory. Because all of you know, if it had not been for God, we would have fallen flat on our faces. But we are so very excited to have this opportunity for you to be here on this day. We are the Community of Hope where everybody has a chance. And we have a chance because of what you're doing in your various capacities. I just want to bring you greetings from our pastor who is away in Boston at the Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary trying to catch up with his mama and get a doctoral degree. Praise our Jesus. But he really would like to be here today. So he says to you, and from our assistant pastor, Reverend Bill Lee, and they both have the last name Lee because they are my children. Welcome to Community of Hope. Keep on doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is good work. God bless you.
Okay, I would like Councilwoman Karen Tolles to come forward, please, and welcome you to her district.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year, Governor O'Malley, and to all in this church, welcome to the dynamic District 7. District 7, I want to start by saying, has 5 of the county 15 metro stations, home to several neighborhoods that border the nation's capital. You are sitting in one of the county executive's Transforming Neighborhood Initiative areas, that's right. And welcome to a community that is poised and ready for economic development. However, none of that would not be possible without the efforts of our public safety officials. Our men and women in blue go above and beyond here in this county every day, just as they did a few days ago, trying to save little Zaquan White from drowning in a pond with freezing temperatures not that far from here. Our law enforcement are the fabric of the community, and today I ask that you give them all a round of applause for their heroic efforts. Today, you will hear statistics of some of the public safety achievements and quite possibly some areas in which we can improve upon. What I do know for a fact is that the county has made tremendous achievements over the last year, but most importantly, over the last 4 years since my colleagues and I took office along with County Executive Baker. And we know since that dreadful month in January 2011, we have come so far. Legislation that my colleagues and I have passed have, without a doubt, given the law enforcement the tools they need to make our community safer and has contributed to the historic crime reduction. At a time when our public safety officials are facing so much scrutiny across the country, I tell you that Prince George's County and the state of Maryland governor gets it right. I can tell you that. And I will also say that working with my colleagues, we have built stronger communities and stronger relationships and stronger partnerships. From our sheriff's office to the state's attorney, who are also elected officials, go above and beyond the scope to improve the quality of life of the residents of this great county. from my good friend and our amazing State's Attorney, Angela Alsterbrooks, to my other good friend, Melvin High, who is, Angela does great work with truancy programs in the county, working with our children. Sheriff Melvin High is doing great work in the area of domestic violence. Where are you, Sheriff? Over here? Yes. And them two are really making a difference in keeping crime low as well in the county. Can we give those two leaders a round of applause? And I would totally be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank the person who I believe had the toughest job of keeping all of them together. The county executive's DCAL for public safety, he introduced everyone else, but he didn't allow us to give him a round of applause. Mr. Baker, you got it right when you chose this cabinet here. Let's give Barry Stanton a round of applause. And in closing, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the faith community, especially Reverend Tony Lee. I know he's not here, but I know he will get the message. Their support and advocacy for standing with our law enforcement, when many were turning their backs, they stood with them, praying right over here in this church for Chief McGaugh and his entire cabinet that you see in the front row. We cannot do this without the faith community. And I also want to share with you that the Community of Hope, every summer since I've been in office, probably 2 or 3 times a year, has walked in the community with Major Harper when he was the major, and now with Major Garrett, on working with the community on police preventive efforts. And I will tell you his little secret. So this is what he does, right? He get this, what I call the Community Hope ice cream truck. And he give out free ice cream cones. You all know what I'm talking about, right? You all been over here, those who know what I'm talking about, he have these free ice cream cones. Don't laugh, Mr. Baker. Those strawberry shortcakes. And he talks to the youth, and they trade off. He gets ice cream, but he talks to them about the police department and about church and about how to make the community better. And that's the police, and that's the faith community walking together. I will tell you this, that I got an email this morning from a resident in Fleischman's Village who's right around the corner here in District 4 police area, and I see Mr. Gums. Welcome, one of my great community leaders, Hillcrest Heights Civic Association President. How are you, Mr. Gums? Had to do that shout out, but I also wanted to say Fleischman's Village sent me an email this morning. They said, I know you're going to be at the community presser, the public safety presser. I want to tell you something. They did a survey in the community, and this is a great testament to District 4 Police Department. They did a survey in the community, and they asked the neighbors, how strongly do you feel that your police department is working for you? And they asked 3 questions. They said, how does the family feel safe? How does your family feel? Does the family and you feel safe in the community during the day? Over half of the individuals that participated said they strongly agree or somewhat agree, and only 1 or 2 people said they did not agree, okay? They also asked, how safe do you feel in the community at night? Again, over half of them said they agree or strongly agree. And I'm going to tell you, you all know it's about 80 homes, small community. So about 30 or 40 people said only filled out the survey. You all know how it is, Civic Association, Mr. Gomes. Everybody don't come out like they should. But 30 or 40 people filled out the survey. Over half agreed. Our police department is doing a great job over here in this community in District 7 because the residents just told me this morning to let you know that they appreciate you and they thank you. I want a special applause for District 4 Police Department. And I will leave with this. Everyone today, if you walk away with nothing, Prince George's County crime numbers decrease because our partnerships increase. We are stronger as a team. The funding from the governor's office and the county is critical. But when we come together as a community, we know law enforcement is even better. May God continue to be with our public safety officials as they go out and do what many of us won't do, run towards danger. And in an effort to keep all of us safe in the county that we love and call home, may God continue to bless you. And again, welcome to District 7. Oh. And speaking of how much we appreciate our police department, I do want to take the opportunity to introduce our wonderful police chief, Mark McGaugh, who I've had the great joy of working with over the past 4 years being in office. Chief McGaugh.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It's hard to believe that a year has gone by already since the last time we talked. And at that point, we talked about 3 years, consecutive 3 years of reductions in crime. Well, I'm pleased to announce that we're back for a 4th year, a 4th straight year. Thank you. fourth straight year that crime has been reduced in Prince George's County. Reductions like I'm going to talk about here on these charts don't happen in a vacuum. Everyone that is here today, especially on this panel, from the governor to County Executive Baker, the council, the sheriff's department, state's attorney, all the municipalities, state police, everybody's been involved in this fight. And it's only through that partnership and a partnership with the community that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute that we've been able to do this type of reduction across this entire county. But I especially want to thank the men and women of this police department who work every day, and I watch them, and it amazes me. I have to tell them to go home sometimes, how hard they work supporting this county. And because of what they do every day, we've been able to reduce crime continuously over the last 4 years. If you look at the very first post, it's the 2014 comparison to 2013. All three, violent crime, property crime, overall crime is down 9%. And as we go through these charts, it's important for me that you understand that statistics relate to people. So as we're talking about crimes, we're talking about people who's been impacted by crime or not impacted because of what has gone on in this community, but we're talking about people's lives. And really, one of the biggest thing on number one poster was almost 2,400 fewer victims in 2014 as opposed to 2013. And to be honest with you, that's how we judge our performance, is the reduction of victims. That's our focus as a command staff. The second poster, homicides down 40% since 2010. Now, since Mr. Baker came in, homicides in this county in 4 years have been cut by 40%. I just needed to say it again. I needed to hear myself say it again. Nowhere else in the state and very few places in the country can rival that number. We had 54 murders last year. That's too many. And we can do better, and we will do better. And that's our focus going into 2015. But I need you to know that on an hourly basis, the command staff that's here, all through the command structure, these commanders work tirelessly every hour of every day, moving resources to adjust to wherever we need, wherever there's a crisis or an issue, and putting resources in positions to where we don't have the crisis even happen. But under Mr. Baker's holistic approach, we work collaboratively with every agency of the county government. Every agency within this county government is in the fight, and that's what's important. Poster number 3, also behind me, is when you look at the first 4 years of Mr. Baker's administration, violent crime down 36%, property crime down 33%, overall crime down 33%. Those are staggering numbers. There's just no other way around it. But it can be attributed to the hard work of the men and women of this department and the leadership of its command staff. But beyond the good work of our investigators and our patrol officers, I want to publicly thank our community members. It's because of that strong relationship that we've been able to reduce crime. Just one example, last year in 2014, Crime Solvers tips, calls coming into the department in reference to crime, grew 22% in 1 year. We had an incident not far from here in Forestville that I can tell you 5 years ago, we knocked on the door, people wouldn't even answer the door. We had to set up a separate line because so many people were calling us with tips and helping us close a serious case that occurred over there. Those are the kinds of changes that have allowed us to continually drop crime in Prince George's County. And maintaining and strengthening this partnership with the community is one of our top priorities. This is not to say that 2014 was not without challenges. 7 children who were 3 years old or younger were murdered in this county last year. 6 of those babies by family members. Jason Holland, Jason Perez, Damian, Layla, Kanijah, Aiden, and Kayla. This is what drives us every day, every hour of every day, is to make sure that we stop this kind of violence. Since 2013, we've taken a hard look at domestic violence. Crimes involving family members plagued us this year. While our homicides were down again this year, 37% of our homicides in 2014 were family-related. Our definition of domestic violence in Prince George's County is broadening. We're going beyond the traditional definition of domestic violence as involving intimate partners. In 2015, we're working to focus on the family and the violence that sometimes occurs there. We've already begun this work by joining with pastors across the county, our state's attorney who spearheaded the effort, the sheriff's office, and the entire county government. This is one of our top priorities for 2015. The family is at the heart of who we are as a community. So there's still much work to be done. Utilizing our district-level coffee clubs, Citizen Police Academy advisory councils, COPS officers, our social media pages, and our newly hired community liaison, we've fanned out across the county in a constant effort to interact and engage with our community. The reductions you see are in direct correlation to our partnership with our community. As this relationship continues to grow, our ability to reduce crime in our county grows exponentially. It is now my pleasure to introduce County Executive Mr. Sherman Baker. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Can we give Chief McGall another round of applause, please? I would say it is a great morning to be in Prince George's County, but Barry Stanton already stole that line. Mel, you know, he's taking one of your clues here. Y'all don't want me to speak, that's what it is. But it is a great morning to be in Prince George's County, and I am so pleased to be the county executive of Prince George's County, because I get to work with great people, like Mr. Stanton. Can we give him another round of applause, please? I certainly want to thank Reverend Tony Lee and the Community of Hope and his fantastic, wonderful, great praying mother, Reverend Lee. If you can give her a round of applause in the Community of Hope. My good frat brother, Reverend Dr. Gerald Folsom, has done a great job. We can give him a round of applause. I'm not going to be long up here because I want you to hear from the men and women who have made this happen. I wouldn't get this opportunity to stand before you and talk about the reductions in crime over these last 4 years. And it is interesting, the chief and I always smile when we talk about and we go back to the beginning of a very scary administration for a very scary county executive when the homicides went up. And I thought my 8-year struggle to get this office is all gonna go down. And I couldn't sleep or go on vacation because I was sure, you know, it was gonna collapse. And he kept saying, Mr. Baker, it's gonna be all right. And I was like, all right, did you see those numbers? And it was all right, because we had the right man in charge of our police department, and the councilwoman had it right. We had the right person in charge of public safety. But we also had great partners throughout. And I certainly wouldn't be standing here, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to actually run for re-election without opposition had it not been for two individuals who brought themselves to our cabinet meeting, who function as part of the cabinet, but who are elected officials throughout this county in their own right. But they cared enough, not about me or my administration, but they cared enough about this county and this state to put their egos aside and to come in and do what's good for Prince George's County. And that is our great, terrific State's Attorney, Angela Alsobrook. Can we give her a round of applause? And we call this guy Twofer. You know, he gets to be the sheriff, but we say, you know, why are you in here? You know, you were police chief. You know, you got a lot of experience, so we're just gonna use you all up. And God, that we need you. God puts people in your lives and in places at a special time. Right there as sheriff, when we needed him inside, helping us strategize how to make it better. Our wonderful sheriff, Sheriff Hyde. I'd also like to go back and have all of our DCAOs and our CAOs stand up. If you could all stand up, please. Give them a round of applause. And our directors, Mary Lou, stand up. And stay standing. Y'all gonna be embarrassed, stand up. And the reason I asked them to stand up and to stay standing is because we can't reduce crime in this county. That's something Angela and the sheriff and I figured out. All the great policing in the world, all the great serving of the warrants, all the great prosecution will not get these numbers. It is by us working beyond that. It is why we develop our T&I. And it is these men and women that have made it happen. So give yourselves a round of applause. And you may sit down, I won't embarrass you anymore. I also want to thank the faith community. We couldn't be standing up here if it was not for the faith community. I see Pastor Macklin in the back. I want to thank her and her husband for the work that they're doing to help us reduce crime. You know how? They actually take in some of our folks who do not have shelter. You say, well, what does that have to do with crime? It means they're not out on the streets looking for blankets, food. That all goes into it. Our health department, family services, social service, health department. If we go after these folks and give them the services they need on the front end, we won't have these posters like we have over here. We won't have to talk about these young people, these kids who have been killed in this county. We're going to get there. I told the chief after we got the numbers back, I want to be under 50. And he said, that's what he said, we will be. And I believe him. But it's all of us coming together to do this. I want to end on two things. This morning when I was getting ready to come here, I happened to be watching, I like this governor, Morning Joe. So I was watching Morning Joe this morning, and interesting thing is they had the, excuse me, the editor of Essence Magazine. Because for the first time, and I guess in their 45-year history, there is no picture on the cover of Essence Magazine. And, you know, I ain't afraid to say that, you know, I always look for the cover. You'll get that later. And it had a saying on the cover of Essence Magazine, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And they were talking about how far we've come in this country and how far we have to go, and it stuck in my head, Black Lives Matter, and this press conference. Because black lives do matter. Brown lives matter. White lives matter. All lives in this country matter. Amen. At a time when the country was going through turmoil, protests in the street, I was in Massachusetts visiting my mama, turned on the TV, and I saw Reverend Tony Lee, our police chief, in our community, talking about how we do it differently, talking about how we've turned around the community relations in Prince George's County. Do we have challenges? Yes, we do. Is everything perfect? No, it is not. But that's the image I wanted to see. Black lives do matter, and there are places that get that. The other thing they talked about on Morning Joe and talking to them, they did a poll. And they had 3 questions, and I can't remember what all of them were, but I did write this one down. When they talked to African Americans and they talked about the issues that they're facing, one of the 3 most important things, strengthening the family. Strengthening the family. Because if you strengthen the family, a lot of this goes away. if you give families the support and wraparound services, a lot of this goes away. That's why T&I is not just for us. Our Transforming Neighborhoods initiative is not just a saying. It's not a slogan. It's not a campaign issue. It is about changing the way society functions fundamentally forever. Because it is about strengthening the family, and we can move from there. The other thing I noticed on TV today, and you see probably why I was late, I had time to watch TV, is the White House is doing a conference on how do you bring police and the community together. I could have saved them a lot of money and a lot of stuff. We could have just brought them here, right? Sheriff High, Chief, command staff, we could have brought them here. Karen. This is why you don't need a conference for this. You need work. We didn't do a conference. We got together. We had pastors that reached out to us and brought us into church and prayed for the police officers. We had police officers that went out there and cared enough, as Karen was talking about, to work with the community in stuff that has nothing to do with the police or the sheriff. Our state's attorney is not just saying, hey, I want to prosecute this person. She said, when are you going to give people jobs? Black lives matter, all lives matter. Communities matter. I end with this. As we were walking in today, this gentleman said, wow, thank you for doing this and giving me the chance to be a part of it. And I chuckled because we wouldn't have the resources and partnership to see these reductions, 40% in homicides over the last 4 years, if I didn't have a friend in Annapolis that got it without me saying it, that called and bugged me almost as much as our state's attorney about how you put together your public safety strategy. Not how you pick a police chief, how you work with the sheriff, how you work with the state's attorney, but what is this overall strategy and how can we play a role? What can we do? Without the resources, time, commitment, and I will admit to this, when I was a nervous guy, but it's not like, I'm not a numbers person. And so every time I get a call from this gentleman, he starts sprouting these numbers in my jurisdiction. Hey, you're down here, you're up here, you need to look at this. And so I went to Barry Stanton, I said, how the hell do you know all that? He said, well, there actually is a memo that comes out that tells you these things daily. So I want to thank our great governor for turning me on to that. And I also want to let him know I'm mad at him for turning me on to it, because now I look at it every morning with one eye like this, like, please be down. But in seriousness, we've had a really, really great governor. I would dare say one of the greatest governors in the history of the state of Maryland, certainly one of the best partners I've ever had. My good friend, our governor, Martin O'Malley.
Thank you. Let's give it up for Rushern Baker, one of the most effective county executives. One of the most effective county executives anywhere in America, and it's really been a pleasure, county executive, to work with you here over these last 4 years. I was looking at these numbers, and there is no more important work that we do together as a people through our government than this work. And I want to begin by commending all of the men and women who put on the uniform of the people of Prince George's and represent us oftentimes in very, very dangerous circumstances and places and hours of the night when other people aren't working. I know that you are the leading edge, and your county executive and your chief knows that as well. And these numbers should make you very, very gratified that God put the calling in your hearts to be law enforcement officers. There's a saying in the Talmud that if you save just one life, it's as if you've saved the entire world. I mean, Chief, what you and your men and women, backed up by a county executive who gets it, and council members who get it, and also a state's attorney that's running the place as a quarterback in your criminal justice team. I mean, these are some huge numbers, folks. I was mayor of Baltimore. Glenda remembers this. The late, great Wayne Curry and I would talk about how the state doesn't get it, and if they'd only help us a little bit here, we wouldn't be fighting with one hand tied behind our back. Parole, probation, juvenile services, and all of those things. When I was elected mayor of Baltimore, our city had become the most abandoned and most violent and addicted city in America. It took us 7 long years to reduce homicides 36%. You and your county executive and your police officers have reduced homicides by 40% in just 4 years. Just 4 years. Imagine what happens here in Prince George's County on schools, on development, on jobs, on upward economic mobility when you repeat that 40% and the other violent crime achievements for the next 4 years and the next 4 years after that. Look, it's sad, isn't it? Sometimes we talk about crime as if it's the weather. It goes up, it goes down. It doesn't just go up, and it doesn't just go down. These men and women make it go down, and a county executive that also appreciates the transformation of the neighborhoods where the greatest opportunities are to save lives, that's what makes it happen. You guys should be very proud of what you have going on here in Prince George's County, because Councilwoman Tolles, Councilman Patterson, Council President Franklin, State's Attorney also Brooks, this is such a powerful and important story in counterpoint to the tragedies in Ferguson, the acrimony in New York, because we're working together in a collaborative way where the leaders come to the center of the circle and make themselves vulnerable willingly in order to serve others, to set goals, to try, to risk failure, to get up and to try again. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So it's a great honor to be here, and I did say to your county executive, because I will soon, by this time next week, another 7 days, who's counting, I will be receiving a promotion to the rank of citizen. But as I have received the crime reports every day, the overnight reports, nothing has made me I don't want to use the word pride, because, Pastor, to God goes all the glory. It's not pride, but it is gratified. And it is, I do feel blessed to have witnessed what I've seen happen, Chief, and County Executive under your leadership in your county. I mean, you really are a modern, collaborative leader, governing for results, getting things done, checking egos at the door, and bringing people together in that circle of collaboration. And it has been a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. All of the lives you have saved. And my final words to you are these. Keep doing what you're doing. The Jesuits have a term, age quod agis. And that is Latin for keep doing what you're doing. You have better days ahead of you. Even with these tremendous results, you can do this again. You can do this every 4 years. You can do this every day. So Prince George's, keep moving forward. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Angela. And now it is my honor to bring forward. Now it is I was getting carried away and awful clamped there. It is my honor to be able to bring forward a woman who's done an outstanding job as your state's attorney. And Mr. County Executive, you've told me many times how fortunate you feel to have this woman. The fact that you actually come to the cabinet meetings, she's doing a terrific job here. So, and she really is the quarterback of criminal justice. Once it gets into that courthouse, these guys handle what goes on outside. But when it actually comes to doing justice and protecting the people of Prince George's from repeat violent offenders, this is the woman that's calling the plays. She, better than Peyton Manning, she is doing audibles from the line. Welcome Angela Alsobrooks, your state's attorney.
Good morning, everybody. It is such an honor to be here this morning, and as I sat there, I thought, wow, I can't believe it. I am a daughter of this community, born here in 1971, and so sitting here this morning means so much to me. My family lived right down the street here on 32nd Avenue, and I walked to this mall regularly as a child. And so really having the opportunity to serve this community has been the greatest honor of my life. I heard someone say last week that elective office is not an accomplishment. It is an opportunity. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've been given to work with this tremendous team. And that's really what we're celebrating today. This doesn't happen at the hands of one person. We're clear about that. It happens because we have decided to work together as a team, and we've done so, and I am so, so grateful to have an opportunity to protect the community that protected me as a child, that poured into me as a child. And so I'm really, really glad to be here today. I want to thank the county executive, whose leadership has been just phenomenal, who is conciliatory and who is visionary and selfless, for his leadership and for his support. I have worn thin my welcome on many occasions, and he has welcomed me each time, he and his entire administration, from the budget where we've insisted that we not only needed additional resources, but we needed salary increases, and to boot, we needed an opportunity for young people in this community to succeed. We needed jobs, and I keep coming back with a list of what is needed, but what we've been clear about is that we cannot resolve this crime issue in the courthouse or even at the police station. This has to go much further. I want to thank the men and women in law enforcement, the police department, the sheriffs. I want to thank Mary Lou McDonough for the work that they have done as well. When I said that I grew up here as a child, this is not the same Prince George's County that I grew up in, as proud as I am of it. The work that has been done here not only has been successful, but respects the dignity of the people we protect and serve. And I am so proud to be a part of this sort of effort that protects the dignity of people, respects people. When we've been watching all across the country at what's happening, I want you to know I sit behind closed doors with the sheriff. I sit behind closed doors with Barry Stanton and with the chief. And I know the kind of conversations, Mr. County Executive, that occur, and they are ones that are designed to respect people. I want to thank the council. I want to thank our chair. I want to thank Councilwoman Tolles. I also want to thank, we have our chair of our delegation, Jay Walker. They're fighting hard for us in Annapolis. And when we talk about resources, Mr. Governor, you know what, I brag every time I go out and say the governor was a former prosecutor. Okay, so just allow me that. And so his understanding of what is needed, I think, comes from that. And again, like the county executive, every time I encounter him, he has the numbers better than any of us. He knows on each day where we are. But not only that, he put he put the resources there for us to succeed. This couldn't happen without money. Let's be honest about it. And so even in the state's attorney's office, where we were given an additional $3 million over the last 4 years to ensure that we could fight violent repeat offenders. And also be clear, it hadn't happened before then. $3 million additional is what we received. Not only that, but every time we called and said, you know, we need additional assistance in getting victims to court. We need whiteboards, we need technology, we need legislation to make sure that we protect people and that we keep people, we need to keep guns off the streets. So it was not only financial resources, but legislation. And again, to thank our chair, Jay Walker, as well, for working with us in that effort. And so, you know, I want to say something today, because I know that we are proud of where we've been, and we have every right to be. 40% is nothing to sneeze at. But let me just say for the record, I almost hope that this is the last year, to some extent, that we need to have this press conference. And the reason I say that is because now we know that this is not by accident. These results required strategic planning. It required work. It's not by accident, and it is sustainable. For anyone who wanted to know, it is sustainable. It didn't happen. Oh my goodness, we stumbled into a 40% reduction. No, that requires strategy, and that is what we've done. And so I almost hope this is the last year we have a need for this press conference for another reason. Prince George's County is so much more than crime, and I want the whole world to understand that as well. We have proven that we can manage well the resources we've been given, and that we will perform when we've been given those resources, we deliver. But Prince George's County is so much more than crime. I hope that we don't have to begin conversations anymore by what our crime reductions are, because we are really moving forward in so many other respects as well. When we talk about all the development, we talk about where we're going in education, we have so much more to discuss. Now we've convinced you. We can do it, and we'll continue to do it. But we want to be sure that everyone understands that Prince George's County is a wonderful community with more than just crime to discuss. And finally, I just want to say the work, of course, is not over. This is not a mission accomplished moment where we throw our arms in the air. And the reason for it, I think, has already been stated. The chief and I and all of our other partners agree with us. The 7 babies killed on our watch, 3 and under, is absolutely unacceptable. It just is. And so we are not declaring victory today. I want to thank, again, not only the members of our community. I see Oliver Lowe, and I see Gums, and I want to thank the faith community most especially. True story, and I'll end on this. Layla Miller, a baby, 3 years old, whose grandparents live not far from here. Her father, Frederick Miller, went to her home and snatched her from the arms, literally, of her grandparents, shot them, got in the car, and with his sick self, took his camera, his phone, and took a selfie with his 3-year-old baby, who smiled in that picture because she trusted her daddy, right before he slit her throat and shot her in the head. When I heard about that, I was literally at King's Dominion in a line to get on a roller coaster, and I pulled out my phone and started calling. I called Pastor Macklin, so I want to thank First Lady Macklin. I called Pastor Jenkins. I called Pastor Lee. I called all these pastors and said, honestly, what are we going to do? You know, this has to stop. We can't take it anymore. And so we have met now on a number of occasions, and you would be so proud to see we have had virtually standing room only in these rooms with the faith community all throughout, not only Prince George's, but we've been joined as well by congregations in Washington, D.C. I want to thank Betty for putting together the training module that we're going to present to the pastors, Betty Francis and her entire team, that we're training now pastors across this county, because the judges are saying individuals are coming who have been injured, saying, I want to rescind my protective order because I am meeting next week with my pastor. And so we wanted to go to the pastors and say, we want you to know how much trust our community has. The point of it is, we're not waiting. We're not sitting in the courthouse hoping it'll get better. We're not even doing what we're doing just in the police station. We're getting outside and working with this community with great results. And so the best really still is yet to come. We are excited today, but more determined than ever that we will continue to build the kind of community that the people here deserve, that they trust us each and every day to continue to deliver. And I want to thank all the members of the press for coming out and covering this, and just still hopeful that you will continue to send the message that crime won't be tolerated in Prince George's, and that now we can begin to talk about some of the other fantastic things that are occurring in Prince George's. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm like the governor. Now, how could I, again, introduce a man you've heard already, for whom I have so much respect, this wise man who serves this community so excellently, who has not only served as our chief of police, but you're right, how lucky could we get, right, when we talk about putting together this team. And so I want to introduce Sheriff High and thank him for his tremendous service, and thank him also for his contributions. Sheriff High.
Thank you, Madam State's Attorney, and good morning to everyone. Certainly my honor to be here with my partners in safety. Let me start by thanking certainly the members of our Sheriff's Office who are here with me this morning, members of our command staff. You just raise your hands, I would appreciate that. Thank you all for being here and for the good work that you do. I certainly want to echo our State's Attorney and thank all of our partners. You know, it is really about partnership that's made us successful. Our county executive, our governor, all of the men and women in law enforcement that have been important and integral parts of success for Prince George's County. But that partnership goes broadly. That partnership is all of the citizens of our community, and whatever their walk is, I want to certainly acknowledge Carolyn Lowe, who is a leader of something called a coffee club, and we have those coffee clubs throughout our county, and that's an important place where citizens come together kind of in the town square concept and talk about the things that's happening in our community and how we all work together to make it better. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that as a place. Let me also thank the men and women who work in family services and social services, because they work hard every day at abating issues that give rise to crime. And so if we can be on the front side in terms of preventing issues, then we'll have less crime. So thank you, our social service agencies, for all of what you do. And certainly, as been acknowledged here, I want to acknowledge Dr. Nancy Lee and Reverend Tony Lee and the partnership we've all had with this church, and certainly with Pastor Macklin, a good friend of mine and associate, that we work together, and with so many of our faith communities to make a real difference in our community. And so we've stood together to move forward. And so working closely with our communities and developing those partnerships that improve our performance, thinking broadly and being strategic, as the state's attorney has said, and staying focused. These are all aspects of reducing crime and making communities safer, because the work we do is about people every day and all the time. We take no time off. We work for the people all of the time. As you've heard, good partnerships have been established and very good work has been done. The numbers really speak to that. My assessment 4 years ago was that a priority focus on violent offender warrants, whether they were in the warrant backlog that was over 53,000 when I took office, or the new ones that we get every day coming in, that focus would take violent offenders off the street, as these are the people who presented the greatest danger to citizens. When we take violent offenders off the street, what does that mean? It means they are no longer harmful to citizens. They cannot commit crimes while detained and must answer to the courts. As a result of our focus on violent offender warrants, they now number in the few hundreds, and we seek to serve them every day. Over the last 4 years, we have processed nearly 108,000 warrants of all type, with a portfolio of processes, including outright arrests, extraditions, and other administrative processes that includes our partnership with the Motor Vehicle Administration, the reminders that we send to citizens through the mail in misdemeanor cases, because we don't want them to have forgotten those things and overlooked them, and the warrant invalidation process that we have with our partners in the state's attorney's office and our courts to look at warrants and look beneath the surface to see if those warrants still have prosecutorial merit. And in those cases where they have not, we petitioned the courts, and the courts have agreed, and we've had some recalls. Each year, we have reduced the warrant backlog, which now stands at about 39,000, down from that 53,000. But, thank you. But that number is a 50% reduction from the budget projections 4 years ago that would have put the backlog at 79,000 today, given the previous course. At just under that number of 40,000, the warrant backlog is at a level not seen since 2007. Our Domestic Violence Intervention Division has a unique understanding and extensive experience with this crime of domestic violence. First, we have a true partnership with our police department in our District 3 in terms of response to domestic violence calls in that district. Since 2010, we've responded to over 24,000 emergency domestic violence calls in that district alone. This process is important for its preventive potential. First, when our deputies make an on-scene arrest at a domestic violence call, It triggers a thorough investigation, including photographs and other information and evidence, and an important factor, a risk assessment designed to be valuable in the case of prosecution so that we have success there. In addition, the risk assessment documentation automatically triggers outreach to the victim from our special victim advocates who inquire about victims' well-being, but also assist them in assessing resources they may need, such as court access, housing assistance, medical assistance, counseling, etc.
From the coffee clubs to the community advisory committees to all of the law enforcement outreach, our law enforcement and community could not have a stronger bond than they do today. So I am proud of the hard work of the leadership of our public safety community to make sure that the community and the police and the sheriff and all our partners are together like never before. You should be congratulated on that very hard work. Thank you for doing that. Well, and speaking of community, it's my pleasure to bring to the podium Ms. Jacqueline Keys. I understand that Ms. Keys is an integral part of the Transforming Neighborhood Initiative right in Glass Manor, which is right nearby. I want to welcome you to the podium. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the community. Thank you.
Happy New Year's to everyone. I want to start off with thanking Mr. Stanton. When I first met him, it was through Major Harper, and I was pouring out all of my concerns in my neighborhood, and he was like, yeah, all right, And I'm saying, I'm not going to get nowhere, because my father said, watch a man that smiled all the time. So yeah, Miss Key, I got you. So I'm known as the 911 lady. I don't dial the non-emergency number. So I had a problem. I went to Major Harper. He got in touch with Chief McGraw. He was on vacation. I felt so bad. He said, I'll come up there and talk to you. He left his vacation, and he came out and spoke with me and Miss Fisher. Well, in my neighborhood, 40% is good, because it was never a day you could not come outside and find someone dead on the sidewalk. Or most of us are seniors. I've been there for 40 years. It got to the point where we were scared to come out, sit on the porch. So I want to say then, Major Garrett, I think they all think I had their number on speed dial. I have no problem calling. They know. I just want to say they did a great job. You know, I know what you guys go through. My son was the captain in D.C. on the force. I think Chief Hyde was his chief. And when he started, he was 18 on the force, and he used to come home and cry. You know, it's a lot going on. And also, I agree with Rashawn. It starts in the household. In my household, we have do's and don'ts. I raised 4 sons. It was not easy in my neighborhood to let them go outside and say, no, you can't do this, you can't go there. And I just want to say, I think they did a great job. They're doing a great job. In my neighborhood, they call me the officer with no badge. I have no problem in letting them know I'm about to call 911. And I just want to say, you know, I just want to say thank you. You know, once it was at a point, my grandkids, they live like in La Plata and all that. They didn't even want to come and see me. You know, Grandma, why is that police sitting there? They're police sitting there because I asked them to sit there. You know, and they're doing a great job. And I want to say just about everyone, Jay, OB, Angela, everyone, they know me. I'm just proud of, as Jack used to say, Prince George's County. 40% is better. In my neighborhood, it was 100%. So 40% is, I think you're doing a great job. I'm here for you. You know, you can always count on me. I got a call yesterday when I was in the courthouse, and Ms. Keys, you're supposed to be here today. I'm like, oh, yeah? So thank you for thinking of me, Mr. Barrett. You keep on smiling and keep on doing what you're doing.
Well, you know, I'm going to close on smiling. What Ms. Keys didn't tell you is we did get results in Glass Manor, Oxon Hill. So let's give Ms. Keys a round of applause. I can only say one thing. She worked me in the last year, Ms. Keys. But seriously, as we close, I want to thank all of you for coming out this morning. I want to thank the Community of Hope Church for allowing us to be here this morning. I want to thank all the elected officials for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And one thing we saw about the theme, we saw the theme of community, we saw the theme of hope, and we talked about partnership. And that is the result of leadership. That's the result of leadership across Prince George's County, but also leadership across the state of Maryland. So if we can give our county executive and Governor Martin O'Malley a round of applause for their leadership, I want to thank you. We're going to miss the governor. And so as I close, one thing I've learned about public safety, I have enjoyed this job in public safety, especially in Prince George's County. But one thing you have seen and heard today was the issue of law enforcement and Health and Human Services working together. You cannot do this job without Health and Human Services. So before I close, there's a partner I have here that we used to argue all the time about law enforcement and Health and Human Services. But we have realized law enforcement and Health and Human Services has to work together. So if Ms. Betty Francis could please stand, thank you for your partnership, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your help. So again, I want to thank everyone for coming out this afternoon. If you have any questions, everyone will be available after the event. Thank you very much.